Well, well, well. I was gonna say, if it isn't the LGBTQ again, but I was like, I can't keep making that joke, it'll stop being funny. Okay, well. Hello. Welcome back to Ace Attorney Justice for All. Farewell, my turnabout. It's been a week. Sorry about that. It was just way too hot, and also they're installing a new ceiling in my neighbor's apartment. It was very loud, so that just was not gonna happen. Yeah. Last time we got into the courtroom, Francisco was shot. Hi, Kate. Francisco was shot, and then that meant that she could not fulfill the prosecutorial duties, so Edgeworth took them over. So the boys are back. And he is truly coming out of the gate swinging. But we cannot give up because Maya's life is at stake. And why didn't Phoenix tell Edgeworth? Probably because they're in their divorce arc. So, don't worry, it'll get better. Yeah. We're continuing the trial today. Adrian Andrews, who is Matt Ongard's manager, is going to be taking the stand because she's suspicious due to her involvement with Juan, the victim, and also being Matt's manager. It would be very easy for her to pin it on Matt. So, that's where we are. Just a heads up, I'm really, really sleepy. And I'm hoping it will turn into, like, the crazy, you know? When you get tired and you just kind of go crazy. But, like, my vibes are a little off. So if you're like, is Kat okay? No, but, like, I'm hoping this helps. Edgeworth is so back while Fran is being held back in the hospital. Yeah, she's definitely not going to be happy about the fact that she did not get to face us in court, but it sucks to suck, I guess. I miss doing Edgeworth's voice. I do like doing Fran's voice as well, but Edgeworth's is, I don't know. It reminds me of the Fata Mortar days. Dude, I can't believe that Adrian? No way! Not cool and collected Adrian Andrews. I thought he was like, not cool. She is your manager. It would have been very easy for her to pull this off. The only person who had easy access to the knife you used at dinner was, well, her. So after the ceremony, during the break, huh? I was sleeping like a log the entire time. God, I wish that were me. See, she could have also easily planted that blood-covered button in your hakama. Because she was the one that came to wake me up? Then, dude, you're saying it was really her? Yes, she is the real killer. She was the one who murdered Juan Corrida. But why? I thought she was buds with Juan. She has her own agenda. Her own agenda? What are you talking about? I'm sure you'll see by the time this trial's over. It'll be alright. I'll get you acquitted by the end of today. Get me a verdict that's refreshing like a spring breeze. Okay, Mr. Lawyer Dude? Oh, that's right, Mia's here! Thanks, Pearl. Phoenix. You think her motive is related to Celeste Impax's missing suicide note, right? Yes. Ms. Andrews depended on Ms. Impax as her strength and reason to live. But then, Ms. Impax suddenly killed herself. It sounds like she left a suicide note, and the person thought to have hidden it is Juan Corrida, the victim of this murder. And that's why I think that Ms. Andrews got close to Mr. Corrida. All to get the suicide note back. That sounds plausible. But one thing bothers me. What? Who was it that first told us about their relationship? Better stated, Ms. Andrews' dependency issues Regards to Miss Impax. It was Edgeworth. It looks like he's still the one in command of this ship. Don't let your guard down yet. Yeah, we all know what the ship is. Sorry.
Court will now reconvene. Now then, Mr. Edgeworth, if you please.
Sorry, this guy makes me laugh. He just makes me laugh. I'm like, every time he shows up, I'm like, gay boy. The prosecution calls the witness subpoenaed by this court. Miss Adrian Andrews, the person who discovered the crime in Mr. Juan Corrida's room. What is your occupation? I am the manager of the defendant in this case, Mr. Matt Ongard.
I see. Now then.
Before we begin, Your Honor, I have one request. The guy of all time.
Yes, sure. What is it?
I'm sure everyone in this room is wondering the same thing, and would love to find out more about my relationship with the victim. After all, it was the topic of a certain weekly magazine recently.
No, I have no idea what you mean. I've never even heard of Gossipland.
If the judge was ever a prosecution witness, he'd do all my work for me. Anyway, I was wondering if you could please tell us about your relation to the victim. Yes, I was seeing Mr. Corrida. I was also aware of the rivalry that existed between Matt and Juan, but this was a private matter between Juan and myself.
So it was a fry and bait matter, or is that bait and fry? Reminds me of fishing.
But I didn't kill him. No one is accusing you of that. I think there's someone who would beg to differ. That's me!
I think we all understand your relationship with the victim now, Ms. Andrews.
Very well then. Witness, please testify to the court about what happened when you discovered the murder that had taken place.
Okay. When I found the body.
It was time for the show to start, so I went to get Matt from his room. I forgot to send the link to the Discord. Okay, hang on. It's not my Discord, just a Discord I'm in.
Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun.
Hold on just a second. I'm hiding my source. Whoop! Where'd she go? Okay, we are so back. Anyway. It was time for the show to start, so I went to get Matt from his room. After that, I went to Juan's room. And there was his dead body. I was in shock. What I saw was, naturally, the same exact scene as in the crime scene photo. I felt as though I was about to faint, so I poured myself a glass of juice. Weird flex, but okay.
You poured yourself a glass of juice. Weird flex, but okay.
Yes. Sadly, I didn't remember not to touch things at the scene of a crime. And I disturbed the crime scene by moving this one thing. And that is when the fingerprints on the wine glass were made, Your Honor.
I see. Well, Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness.
Phoenix. She is one cool and collected customer, and she has the brains to match. Yes, I know. In order to catch a person like her, you have to avoid head-on confrontations. You should disrupt her pacing. Disrupt her pacing? She's the type of woman who is easily thrown off by things inconsistent with her thinking, so you have to attack when she least expects it. The instant you let up on your offense is the instant this trial is over. Understand? Okay. Press everything. That's what I do anyway. And what was Mr. Ongard doing at the time?
He was taking a nap.
Hongshu. He's definitely a Hongshu. Actually, you know what? I take that back. He's definitely a Snork me.
He was worn out from his mini performance as the Nickel Samurai during the ceremony.
Mr. Ongard did say he was taking a nap. Then I guess you could say it could not have been taken out of his room. Yes?
Excuse me? It?
What are you... Right. I thought years of school would have taught you how to construct a sentence. If you can't make a sensible sentence with a subject, then I'll make one for you. Watch. Did you, Ms. Andrews, remove Mr. Ongard's knife from his room?
No.
Subject, verb, object, right? Did you skip basic grammar? The witness may continue. I bet this joke is a lot funnier in the Japanese, because passive voice is a lot more prevalent in Japanese grammar. And so I bet he said something like in passive voice, and he was like, active voice, please. That would be my guess. My hand keeps getting tangled in my headphone wires. Han's room. And why did you do that?
As a friendly gesture, Juan was to make an appearance with the other heroes.
So the show was supposed to be a show of friendship, huh? Is that the only reason?
I beg your pardon? What are you implying?
You had a certain goal in mind when you started to get close to him, correct? So perhaps you had a more personal matter to discuss with the victim? Is this too straightforward, maybe?
Sorry, but I didn't have any such intentions in mind at that time.
I can't get her to talk without a strong piece of evidence, I guess. May we continue now? Witness, what did you see when you got to his room?
And he was serving cunt.
You were in shock?
What? Was I not supposed to be?
Miss Andrews is a very calculating person, and despite how close they were, I doubt she had romantic feelings for Mr. Kurita.
He's like, she just gives me
really big lesbian vibes, and Mia's like, no, I agree, and Edgeworth's like, no, I totally agree. Anyone randomly stumbling upon a dead body would be in shock, and you can't seriously expect that a young beauty like her would not be shocked. Somehow, I don't think beauty has anything to do with being shocked or not.
I see.
That was pointless of him. Okay. This is the photo you're referring to, correct?
Yes, the one with the knife lodged in his chest.
This was suspicious because his death was by strangulation, if memory serves, and he then was stabbed with the knife. But I don't remember if it was post-mortem that he was stabbed. And the guitar case was like this too? Yeah, that's also suspicious.
Yes, it was open and empty, of course.
And then, what did you do next, witness?
I felt as though I were...
Oh yeah, I already said this. Juice?
Yes, there was a bottle of tomato juice on the table, so I helped myself.
But you didn't drink any of it, did you? We didn't find your spittle. Can you imagine?
Huh?
There were no lip marks left on this wine glass to suggest that anyone drank from it. That's what I'm saying.
I wasn't feeling terribly great, so I set the glass down, without drinking it.
Ms. Andrews, I would like to confirm with you one more time. When you discovered the dead body of Juan Kurita, you were in great shock. And that's when you poured yourself the glass of juice, correct?
And what of it? My mind really was a complete blank at the time.
Your mind was a complete blank? I didn't think that was possible for you.
Aren't you rude today? I was so dazed that I made one careless mistake. That one thing.
What one thing?
Never mind. It's no big deal.
What was she starting to say just now?
Ms. Andrews, I'm convinced that, as you said, you made a mistake at the scene of the crime. What I really want to know is what this mistake was. Actually, so would I. I'm sorry. It's kind of embarrassing. When I set the glass down on the dresser, I accidentally knocked the flower vase over. Look at her serving cunt. God, she's so pretty.
Flower vase? Are you talking about the one on the floor in the crime photo? This mess of glass shards.
It was originally on top of the dresser, but when I bumped into it with my elbow, it fell onto the guitar case. Why did you withhold such an important piece of information? I'm sorry. I thought that since the crime scene was already in disarray, that people would simply assume the vase was just another part of the mess.
It looks like yet another fact has come to light here. Please add this and anything else you have to reveal to your testimony.
Hi, Tetra! I'm sorry, but I have nothing more to add. I didn't touch anything else. I don't believe you. What kind of flower vase was it? It was a glass vase, and it was fairly big and heavy. I thought I would try to take Juan's pulse. Hi, Nan! So I set the glass I was holding down on the dresser. And that's when my elbow accidentally hit the vase. That's odd. I thought she was always in total control of herself. That's what she would like people to think. Always be mindful of the gap between your perception and reality. That is just good advice, generally. It doesn't sound like there's any glaring contradictions in her testimony just now. I warned you earlier that she would not crack so easily. The only way to make her is to keep on the offensive and not let up. The only way you're going to catch her is with some very strong, decisive evidence. I have to find something. I just have to, for Maya's sake. I'm gonna get you. Adrian, I'm gonna get you. You felt faint? Okay. So you said that it was open. But there's no water in the case, so you're wrong. You testified that you knocked the flower vase over. Is this correct? Yes. And are you sure it fell onto the guitar case? Is there some problem with what I said? It's not some problem. It's a major problem. It's true that the top of the guitar case was wet with water. However, that's exactly what's so strange. Ms. Andrews, you testified that the vase fell onto the guitar case. However, if that were true, the case should have gotten wet on the inside, not the outside.
That's very true.
Furthermore, there's one other strange thing about this guitar case.
And what is that?
Let's take another look at the crime scene photo. The remains of the vase are scattered on the floor.
And what is wrong with that?
If the guitar case was open when the vase fell, the glass shards should be inside, not outside the case. Ah. What is your point, right? That the case was closed at the time the vase was knocked over. Is that all? No. No. Think back to... No. Think back to what Miss Andrews testified to. She said that other than the vase, she didn't touch anything else.
Yes, that's right. She did implicitly say she didn't touch the guitar case.
But this whole matter with the guitar case is a dead end. The bright red guitar was found at the studio. It has no bearing on this case at all. Case with the case. Yeah. That very well may be. However, the empty guitar case does seem to have no relation to this case, doesn't it?
Seems that there is no deeper meaning to the guitar case.
Okay, well, it's not the only suspicious thing, so can we move on?
Well, Mr. Wright, do you think we need to hear more details about the guitar case?
Do we? Because I feel like no, because the guitar case, like, how do I say? Like, the fact that she didn't touch it is supported by this evidence because it only bears Kurita's fingerprints. Although I guess she could have done it with gloves. Fine. The empty guitar case. I believe this is a crucial piece of the puzzle. Because, like, I guess, like, if she had gloves on. Hold on. Yeah, if she'd had gloves on, like, she then wouldn't have left any prints anyway. So I guess it doesn't necessarily support or not support. If that makes sense. I can't believe anyone would reach for straws like this. But it is you. / affectionate. I can't believe I'm doing this either.
Alright, I'll follow along. For now. Miss Andrews, please testify to the court about the guitar case.
Yes, Your Honor. I don't remember too clearly because I was a bit dazed. I suppose I must have opened the guitar case after I knocked the vase over. It's not a big deal though, right? The case was empty after all. As for why I opened the case, even I don't know. Worst testimony I've ever heard.
Looks like this really wasn't a very important point.
This wastefulness is such a familiar feeling by now that it's almost comforting. Just say you missed me. Can't you be normal? Anyway, I'll just go ahead and start the cross-examination. Using any way to change the topic. A convenient escape for a weak man. Can we please flirt normally once? Just once. During your testimony just now, did you remember those events clearly in your mind? Well, you see. Are you sure you're the one who opened the guitar case? She's waiting for someone to tell her if she should answer or not. Sounds like her dependent side is taking over.
Oh, Miss Andrews.
Yes, it was me. So, you opened the guitar case then? Yes. Well, maybe. Why did you open the guitar case? Huh? Mr. Kurita's dead body was right there in front of you, wasn't it? I would think that the first thing you would do is call for help, not open a guitar case. As the witness has stated multiple times, when she found the dead body, she was dazed. Maybe I was curious to know if the bright red guitar was alright or not. I thought maybe the criminal took it. Why would she care about the bright red guitar? But getting back on topic. Was it really empty? I was just wondering if maybe when you opened the case, the guitar was still inside. How long have you been a lawyer, Mr. Wright? Have a little professionalism. You know exactly how long I've been a lawyer. What do you mean? What do you mean? The bright red guitar was found at the studio. These trials would be over in half the time if you would just pay attention. That is fair,
Yes, pay more attention, Mr. Wright.
Sorry. That is true, he shouldn't have, like, that thread is not important. Oh, shit. Come on, Phoenix, we can't afford to let up on her now. I wasn't planning on letting up, but she's at her weakest now, so this is our chance. Yeah, if we had a weapon to hit her with. I'm sure a weapon is hiding somewhere in the court record, waiting to be found. I don't think you should phrase it like that. Was that because you were shocked and dazed at discovering the victim's body? Yes, that's probably it. I'm not gonna get anywhere if I continue pressing her like this. The only way to make her talk is with evidence. I guess I should give it a try. Come on, Phoenix. We can't afford to let up on her now, blah blah. I know. Okay. So I think, again, we need the guitar case because of the fingerprints. Right? Okay. So this is where we figure out if the guitar case supports or does not. There is no way that you were the one who opened the guitar case. Why would you say that? It's elementary, my dear. Why is he so... Because the only fingerprints on this guitar case are those of the victim. Ah. Sorry, I need to pull my hair back. My hair's at a really awkward length right now. It's like neither long nor short. Same with my bangs.
What is it, Miss Andrews?
You shouldn't assume that I must have left prints just because I touched the case. What do you mean? What if I were to tell you that I was wearing gloves at the time?
Gloves? But why would you be wearing gloves at the time?
It was the night of the award ceremony, so of course I dressed up for the occasion. Yes, now that I remember, I'm almost sure I was wearing a pair of thin gloves.
I see. Well, Mr. Wright, it seems the witness was wearing gloves at the scene of the crime.
That's strange, because there was prints on the wine glass. You were wearing gloves? Isn't that a little strange? Why is that strange? Do you have something that would prove I was not wearing gloves at the time? I'm not crazy, right? Yeah. You little liar. I have your proof right here. This wine glass. The wine glass? You left your fingerprints very clearly on this wine glass. Ah. Even if you took your gloves off when you poured yourself this glass of juice, wouldn't you think it was just a little strange? That you put your gloves back on just to open the guitar case? That's a really good bit. Her exploding and never-ending glasses.
Order! Order! Order!
Looks like you hit the nail on the head this time. Huh. What do you mean? I believe that guitar case plays a very important role here. But it's just an empty case. I wonder if it really was empty, though. But the guitar, the bright red guitar, was at the studio. Phoenix, drop all of your presumptions. What was in the guitar case was not the bright red guitar. You don't mean it was a bright white guitar? Wait, that's not right either. What the...
I admit it would be unnatural for someone to do that. So the witness was not wearing gloves, despite the fact that on the case...
Your Honor, this is obviously the defense's usual misdirection tactic at work. Steer the court towards an unrelated topic and lull us all into his misguided... No, Your Honor. Please, recall that Ms. Andrews had testified that the vase fell onto the guitar case, which means that the case was closed when the crime took place. However, it's wide open in this picture of the crime scene. I'm sure this guitar case has some relation to the murder. If you are so sure, Wright, then I'm sure you can somehow substantiate your outrageous claim, correct? Please, enlighten us as to why that guitar case has anything at all to do with this murder.
Can you do that, Mr. Wright?
I don't know. I know what the answer is, but I don't know what to do. Well, let's suppose for a second that the bright red guitar was not the only thing that could have been in the case.
The bright red guitar not being the only thing. You don't mean to suggest that a bright black guitar was...
So, you intend to push your theory that the case was not empty. Is that it, right? I wouldn't say something I didn't intend to prove. Deflate that head of yours, you haven't proven anything yet. Now then, let's have it. What was inside this case at the time of the murder? I think it's...
I think it's this. I think it's the costume. This is a photograph.
Yes, but what is important is what's in that picture, Your Honor.
In this picture.
It doesn't take a genius to see what I mean. What I'm proposing is... inside the guitar case was the Nickel Samurai, the hero's very own costume. What?
Mr. Wright, explain yourself.
Right. Are you saying that this witness opened the guitar case to take out a costume? Yeah, because we have this. Well, this is how we got here. Dingling. What insane point would there be in doing something like that? That insane point would be to wear the costume, of course. You fucking idiot. This Andrews put it on. I think he should get one fucking idiot per trial. Everybody gets one fucking idiot that they get to use once per trial. Ms. Andrews put it on to hide her identity so she could make her escape. After all, you couldn't let anyone see you leave, could you, Ms. Andrews? I refuse to accept your theory. Do you have anything to support such a preposterous idea? Just outside the door was an investigative photographer who was starving for a big scoop. And in the end, she managed to get this shot, correct?
You mean this photo?
Yes. Yes.
Order! It looks like we've wandered into quite another mess again, haven't we?
Nice job, Phoenix. Well, you know my strategy. Speak first, think later.
So the real murderer was hiding inside a costume.
Wait 1 second, Your Honor. The Nickel Samurai's costume would have been Mr. Matt Onguard's. Why would something of the defendant's be in the victim's room? And inside the guitar case of all places?
True. That is a little baffling. Mr. Wright, the court would like to hear your thoughts. What was this Nickel Samurai costume doing inside the guitar case?
It was a spare. Mr. Onguard did not take his costume off during the break period. In that case, the costume we're talking about was a spare one. What?
Then, are you saying that on the night of the murder, there were 2 Nickel Samurai costumes at the Gatewater Hotel?
Yeah. Yes, that is what I am saying.
And how do you explain the costume that was inside the guitar case?
It would mean that the victim himself had brought this spare to the ceremony on purpose.
But why? The victim, Mr. Kurita, was the Jammin Ninja.
Sorry. Didn't want to yawn directly to the mic.
Why would he secretly bring the Nickel Samurai's spare costume with him? What could be the reason behind such a peculiar act?
And therein lies the sticking point. What are you mumbling to yourself about now? Have you just been rambling all this time without any sense of inner monologue? Huh? No, I just...
Mr. Wright, please explain yourself. Why do you think the victim had the Nickel Samurai's spare costume?
Phoenix, are you sure you can explain this one? No, I'm not sure, but I know the answer. Think carefully before you answer, and then answer with gusto. I believe in you. Thank you, Mia. I understand what the answer is. I don't know how to fully explain it. And that's just me. Alright, this is what I think. That's just who I am. The reason the victim brought the Nickel Samurai's spare costume to the hotel was... I assume this. Okay, good.
What is this?
On the night of the murder, after the stage show, the Nickel Samurai was going to hold a special press conference.
A press conference?
Yes, the Nickel Samurai was supposed to confess something at this conference. I heard about this as well. For once you're not making something up, right? But what struck me as strange was that Mr. Ongard himself said that he had no idea he was supposed to be holding a press conference that night.
But how can that be?
The way I see it, that can mean only one thing. The conference was set up by none other than the victim, Mr. Juan Corrida himself.
The victim?
Yes. The Spare Nickel Samurai costume was prepared for that very conference. Mr. Corrida was going to hold the press conference as the Nickel Samurai.
He was going to dress up as the Nickel Samurai and hold a conference.
Wouldn't people have recognized that his voice is different?
But why would the victim do such a thing?
That's something I don't quite know yet. However, what I am concerned with right now is what he intended to reveal at that conference. The Nickel Samurai was going to confess something. And by confess, I'd wager he was going to reveal something about himself. Which means that Juan Corrida, posing as the Nickel Samurai, was going to speak about Matt Ongard.
Yes, I guess that is what that would mean.
But if that's the case, that's not a confession. That's public disclosure.
Ms. Andrews?
I can see why you are pros at what you do.
Pardon me?
Yes, just as you say. The press conference was set up by Juan.
Ms. Andrews, please offer us an explanation for this.
I was the one he asked to help set it up. And the person who prepared the second costume for him. That was also me.
You?
It's really hard to switch between her voice and the judge's voice. I don't know why that is. They're just coming from extremely different places. Juan had bet everything on the Jammin' Ninja this year. And if he lost the Grand Prix, he was going to make sure Matt was going down with him. That's what he thought, anyway.
He was going to ruin him, huh?
It looked like somehow Juan had in his hands a secret so powerful that it would destroy Matt's acting career had it been revealed. What? Actors. Always doing shit. Regular humans do this too. I must put emphasis on that.
And do you know what the secret of Mr. Ongard's is, Ms. Andrews?
That's something only Juan knew. I don't know what it is.
Ah, I see.
I've probably been coming off quite suspicious to everyone, but that's to be expected. I've been trying to protect Matt, after all. Protect Mr. Ongard? Sounds fake, but okay.
And yet again, another strange bit of truth comes to light, it seems. Ms. Andrews, if you could, please tell us the truth about your behavior.
Yes, Your Honor. I understand. I need the judge to stop talking for a minute, or Adrian to stop talking for a minute. It's too hard to switch between their voices. Also, doesn't help I did do a Rona test this morning, so that always fucks up my sinuses. And then last night my allergies were bad because I put my windows open because it was nice out. But the grass, someone was mowing the grass. I can't win. From the moment I saw the crime scene, I had a feeling that Matt was the murderer. Matt had to kill Juan no matter what, and he didn't have an alibi for what he was doing at the time of the murder. My thoughts were confirmed by the evidence, of course, the button and the knife. But I'm Matt's manager, so I felt that I had to protect him. Allergies. Yeah, Tetra, I don't know if you're having, like, the same issue. Because, like, it's not too bad for me in my bedroom because, like, the front yard is, like, that fake turf grass, but the backyard's real grass, so...
This does account for everything.
Well, I am the logical type. We're finally seeing her true self. She's more nervous than a scared rabbit.
If the defense can find no fault with this testimony, I am ready to make a ruling. Please keep that in mind as you cross-examine Mr. Wright.
Looks like somehow everything has swung to the opposite end of the scale again. That just means I have to put my weight into this and turn her logic upside down. Would you say that was your intuition speaking to you? Don't confuse my methods of reasoning with your own. Ugh. If you want to prove that someone did something, you need 3 things. 3 things? A motive, an opportunity to commit the crime, and finally, decisive evidence. And if you think these 3 things through, the answer becomes quite clear. You should have already known that, Phoenix. They didn't teach that to us in school. At least, not what I remember. May I continue now? I didn't mean to do that. Wrong button. There we go. So, would you say this need came from the press conference? Yes. Do you know why Juan chose that event and that hotel for the conference? Because that was when he could cause the most damage to the public's beloved Matt Engard.
And you knew of this plan, didn't you, Miss Andrews?
Yes, because I was the one who set up the conference and prepared the costume. But I'm sure Mr. Engard himself didn't know anything about the press conference. Oh, really? Can you show me any proof that he didn't know about the press conference? Anyway, the important thing here is that the information was not in your testimony.
Yes, I agree. Miss Andrews, please correct your testimony, if you please.
Grasping at straws now, are we, Mr. Wright? Has Mr. Engard done something to hurt or betray you personally? Why do you ask? You were the one who helped Mr. Corito with his press conference. And that event was supposed to bring down Matt Engard, yet you still helped out. The person on trial right now is Mr. Engard, right? What the witness was thinking, helping the victim with his plan, is none of our concern. It might be connected, Edgeworth. What about the truth? In any case, this means that the defendant had a motive to kill. Why do I keep doing this to myself? Why do I love this man? But didn't you already testify earlier that Mr. Engard was taking a nap in his room? Are you telling me now that that too was a lie so you could cover for Mr. Engard? I'm not telling you anything of the sort. When I went to get him for the show, he honestly was sleeping. However, as to whether he was sleeping the entire time, that I cannot say. I was too busy setting up the stage at the time.
I keep trying, but I can find no flaws with what Miss Andrews has said.
That's because you're not a lawyer. It's different.
I can't say the same for some people here in this courtroom, however.
The judge is glaring straight at Mia. He's glaring at you, smart guy. I don't remember this. I don't remember this line. What the fuck? You can hardly call the knife decisive evidence. The fingerprints on the knife could very well be a clever camouflage. Then, what about the button? The button? It's clear from the crime scene that the victim and his murderer fought. And during the fight, the killer ripped the button from the Jammin' Ninja's costume.
You're talking about this button, correct?
That button was found in the pleats of Matt's hakama. Isn't that correct? I would think that that makes it very decisive evidence.
Looks like you were outfoxed again, Mr. Wright.
Anyway, the knife doesn't prove a thing. Please fix your testimony. I can't stand the sight of a man who can't gracefully accept his defeat. I keep automatically pressing the A button because I've been playing Persona. Sorry. I'm trying to be careful to not skip through lines because we don't have a history in this game. Thank goodness Mia can still look at me. With an icy stare, yes.
Miss Andrews, for Mr. Wright's sake, please add this information to your testimony.
That button was torn off Juan during his fight with Matt. And how do you know that? When the ends of the threads on the button and the costume were matched up, they were found to fit together perfectly. Or so I heard. I've heard that before too. But why would Ms. Andrews know about this case down to such a fine detail? Don't look at me like that. Just because I'm prepared and you are not? Here, I thought I had her this time for sure. If there's anything to trip her up on, it has to be here. But where and what? Yeah, the button thing is a little sus. But what you really did was stab the guy in the back, didn't you? And at the worst possible time. Who's to say she really stabbed the guy in the back, as you put it? This witness could have disclosed things about Mr. OnGuard at any time. Why, then, would she wait until there was a large audience before doing so? It's the same reason why Mr. Kurita planned such an elaborate conference. Ms. Andrews wanted to cause Mr. OnGuard as much damage as she possibly could. This witness bears ill will toward the defendant. This isn't the Phoenix Wright wax philosophy. Well, oh man, I can't read today. I'm really sorry. I said this at the beginning. I'm really tired, and I'm really hoping it gets into like funny, sleepy, haha tired at some point. But so far, it hasn't. It's just like depression. If I can be so honest for a second. Anyway, this isn't the Phoenix Wright Wax Philosophical Power Hour. And please, stop slandering the witness. As I expected, Ms. Andrews' testimony seems pretty solid. Really? Because to me it sounded a little wishy-washy. Wishy-washy? Well, I guess we'll see if I press a little more. You should know this by now. But you'll need strong, decisive evidence to make her talk. Got it, Chief. I'm going to pin you down this time, Ms. Andrews. Okay. I know his MOBAs. Okay, we don't have anything to do that either. He didn't have an alibi. Okay. Was there a fight? Sorry, I'm going through the evidence again, because I don't... I feel like it's gotta be... Well, maybe it's just this. I was gonna say, I think it has to be the button or the autopsy report. Or maybe it's this. The button was torn off during his fight with Matt. But okay, let me look at this for a second, because the only thing that we see that's like a fight is like the makeup fell off. That's the only thing that we really see. The vase was Ms. Andrews doing. So I'm not sure that there was a fight. Okay, cool. This is the victim's autopsy report. It clearly states that the cause of death was strangulation by a scarf. Strangulation. The knife stab to the victim was done after the victim had already died.
And what does that mean?
Let's examine the evidence. This button has the victim's blood on it, which would mean that it was ripped off of the costume. When? After the knife was stabbed into the victim. Exactly. Which means it's impossible that this button was torn off during the victim's final struggle, because the victim was strangled to death in that fight. That's right, Ms. Andrews. There's no way this button was ripped off during the struggle. This button was consciously pulled off of the victim's already dead body.
Hold is the meaning?
What is the meaning of this, right? So what if the button was torn off of the body after the victim had already died? What does that change? Let me ask you one simple question, Mr. Edgeworth. Do you love me? You said it was a simple question. It would be if you knew the answer yourself. Happy Pride Month. Maybe this is where we're getting into the silly. I hope so. Why was the button torn off? What purpose did that serve? What purpose? We now know that this button was not torn off during the fight. So the murderer took the time and effort to purposefully rip this from the victim's body. That would mean that the murderer had something in mind, wouldn't it?
Mr. Wright, does this mean you know what the murderer wanted to do with this button? What was it?
It's to pin the crime on the donkey. You know? There's only one logical reason for doing something like that. It was to pin the crime on Mr. OnGuard. There's no way anyone would put a bloodied button in their own pants. That's right. Mr. OnGuard was set up. By the real killer, of course.
And the real murderer is... Well, Mr. Wright, who in the world is the real killer then?
Finally. I can't believe I managed to bring this trial all the way up to this point. Phoenix, you can't let your guard down. Sorry, I'm dead. You can't let your guard down yet. Not until the very end. The real killer, the person who planned to frame Mr. OnGuard is... But she's hot. Guys, I don't want to accuse her. She's hot. Maybe she... don't wanna... There's nobody else. Ms. Adrian Andrews, I choose you. You are Mr. Kurita's killer. What?
Order, order, order! Mr. Wright!
If evil, why hot?
This is a very grave matter. Do you have any evidence that supports your charge?
Any evidence? All of the evidence points to Ms. Andrews. How preposterous! You can't stick any of that on me. I can't, can I? Would you care to test me? He said, come at me. Then what about this knife? The knife was used to stab the victim after he had already been strangled to death. It was used to throw suspicion onto Mr. OnGuard, naturally. I don't understand why they don't test his scarf for some, like, fibers or something. You know what I mean? A knife covered in the defendant's fingerprints could only be taken from his room. And the only one who had dinner with him and knew which knife to take was you. Then, what? What about the button that was found in Matt's hakama? This button was removed from the victim's body after he had already died. Oh, frame rate. Don't be silly. Oh dear. What's happening? OBS? Can you chill? Are we good? Okay, I think we're good. The only people who could have done so were the person who found his body or the killer. However, if Mr. OnGuard was the real killer, there's no way he would have put such incriminating evidence into his own hakama. Girl, how many glasses do you have? The only person who could have put this button into Mr. OnGuard's hakama is the person who went to wake him up from his nap, which is you yet again, Ms. Andrews.
I see. What about the empty guitar case?
That is also another piece of evidence that incriminates Ms. Andrews. That costume was used to hide the killer's real identity as they fled the crime scene. Now, who could have known that there was just such a costume inside the guitar case? It could only have been the person who prepared the costume for the victim. And that person is you, Ms. Adrian Andrews. No, But Ms. Andrews' fingerprints were nowhere to be found on the guitar case. And it was you who proved that she was not wearing gloves at the time.
That's right.
That's because she did not intend on leaving any prints. If anyone had found out that she had touched that case, they would have asked her why. So to avoid leaving any prints, she used a towel or something else to open it. Doy. But the glass of tomato juice is a different story. Ms. Andrews purposefully left her fingerprints on the glass to show that yes, indeed, she was the classic dazed discoverer of a dead body. And to top it all off, there's this photo. A photo of the killer as they exited the scene of the crime. No reasonable person on Earth can believe this nickel samurai is Mr. Onguard. He would be much too short for his own costume if it was him. Speaking of how tall people are, Ms. Andrews, you're also kind of short in stature, are you not? Please, stop. Well, how about it, Ms. Andrews? I've got her this time.
Miss Andrews?
I refuse to testify. What was that? There's a law. It says I can't be forced to testify about something if it can incriminate me.
Well, yes. You're absolutely correct, Miss Andrews. The law does provide us with a way to avoid self-incrimination. By allowing a witness to not testify, the testimony can cause damage to themselves.
What? Pleading the fifth is not something most people would think to do on the spot. Actually, thinking back to yesterday in Mr. Onguard's room. Adrian Andrews! Yes? Think hard about what we just discussed. Understood? All right. That's it. That's when Francisca planted this idea into her head. She must have told Ms. Andrews to not testify if things look bad. You did a good job proving everything up to this point, Phoenix. But there's still one thing you haven't done. Something I haven't done? What's wrong, right? Are you finished already? Run out of evidence?
What is so humorous, Mr. Edgeworth?
I'm sure you realize this as well, Your Honor. But everything the good lawyer here has proven up to this point is meaningless. What? Everything you have proven is circumstantial. Circumstantial? Yes, circumstantial. You have yet to provide a single piece of definitive proof. Proof that Ms. Andrews did, in fact, harbor a wish to murder Mr. Kurita.
Ms. Andrews, did you want to kill Mr. Kurita?
I believe this may lead to me incriminating myself, so I will abstain from answering.
But Ms. Andrews, if you do that, it would be the same as admitting your guilt, don't you think?
Maybe so, or maybe not. There is nothing to prove it either way. Besides, you don't even know what crime I would be guilty of due to my silence. No! She's taking that defiant attitude again. Mia, what should we do? Somehow, we've landed in the worst possible situation.
I think we have reached a certain conclusion at this point in time. Ms. Adrian Andrews has refused to testify. And the defense's theory that she is the actual murderer has not been fully substantiated with solid definitive proof.
But that's not true!
In this situation, there's only one thing this court can do. and that is to declare a recess.
Recess?
I request that both the prosecution and the defense look further into this matter. And at tomorrow's trial...
Tomorrow? We don't have tomorrow. We don't have... We don't have a tomorrow. If we don't get a not guilty verdict today, then... Please wait, Your Honor. That's not necessary. The trial. Please continue the trial. What are you sweating for? Your client is getting one more day to live, isn't he? That's not it. This isn't about that. Why didn't you just tell him, Phoenix? Edgeworth, I know you know who the real killer is. Please, let the trial continue. If I don't get the verdict, then Maya...
But it is impossible to continue as long as the witness refuses to testify. Now then, this court is...
Thank you, Edgeworth. It is not impossible for this trial to continue.
Mr. Edgeworth, what are you...
It's true Miss Andrews holds the right against self-incrimination. However, if the topic of conversation were something unrelated to whatever she may be guilty of, then she has no right to withhold testimony.
Yes, that is very true, but...
Actually, there is one little thing that I'm curious about. Ms. Andrews. When you found the victim's dead body, you poured yourself a glass of juice. Yes. And? I can't help but think how unnatural that is. Usually, when one finds a body, they are shaken up, not stirring a glass of juice. So my actions were unusual, but I've already, before you speak, I want to state that if you have a reason behind your actions, I would like you to testify to that effect. Testify? Your Honor, I would like to request that the witness testify again as to what happened when she first discovered the victim's body. Whatever we find out in this testimony should in no way implicate the witness. I don't know what it is about Edgeworth today, but I can't get a good read off of him. He's an enigma. Is he friend or foe? I just don't know.
The court acknowledges the prosecution's request. Ms. Andrews, if you please.
That glass of juice. I didn't really pour it for myself. I was surprised when I walked into the room and saw it in that messy state. And Juan, he was sitting slumped over and tired looking in the corner. When I saw him sitting like that, the thought that he was dead didn't cross my mind. To be honest, I thought he had just fainted or something, so I went to pour him some juice. When I realized that he was dead, that's when I knocked the flower vase over. Okay, that testimony makes a lot more sense. Why didn't you just say that from the beginning?
So you poured that glass of juice for the victim. Why didn't you say so in your earlier testimony?
That's what I'm saying. I didn't think I needed to include something so trivial. Phoenix, please be careful here. If you can't find anything wrong with this testimony, then there's nothing left. I know. Edgeworth. What the heck is going on around here? God damn it, Cape Grumps. What the hell is going on in that brain of yours? I think he should be allowed to say hell.
Now then, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination.
Or at least in this case, he should be allowed to say hell. He would say heck, I think, a lot of the time, but I think right now, he is so keyed up and stressed. But there wasn't anyone else in the room, right? Of course not. Then who did you pour it for? Mr. Wright, there's a rhyme and reason for everything. Can you wait just a little longer for it to be revealed to you? In other words, Wright, be quiet and listen. Precisely. I couldn't have said it better myself. I love those, where it's like they're saying nothing, and they're like, I'm getting to it. Be patient. So, it was a mess? Are you sure it wasn't messy because of your fight with Mr. Kurita? I understand your frustrations at not being able to prove your theory. However, before you go accusing people of crimes, go find yourself some evidence. And then what did you see next, witness? Slumped over. Yes, he was just sitting there with his head tilted forward, eyes closed. He really looked like he was sleeping. Is it just me, or did that right there sound a little odd? I saw him sitting like that. Then what did cross your mind? I thought that maybe he had smashed everything up in anger because he lost the Grand Prix, and then felt tired after his rampage, so he decided to take a nap. Anyways, that's what I thought.
I see. So you didn't think he was dead at all?
You thought he fainted? I thought he was asleep at first, but then the room was in such a messy state. I thought maybe he had gotten into a fight with someone. And that's when you went to pour the glass of juice. Yes, he always has a hard time waking up, so Juan always has a glass of tomato juice to drink. Does he have the spicy kind? Because that's the only good kind.
I see. And after that, what happened next?
Because tomato juice, if memory serves, is like more carrot than tomato. Like, then just have, why can't it just be like tomato? Because I actually like the taste of tomatoes. It would be better anyway. And how did you come to realize that he was, in fact, dead? I shook him over and over, but I never got a response. So I set the glass down on the dresser and tried to take his pulse. I was shocked and staggered backward and knocked the flower vase over. So that's what happened. Yes. This is what it all comes down to. Huh? This is the absolute end for both sides, and Adrian is letting her guard down. Phoenix, now is our best chance yet to kill the prosecution's case. I prefer carrot juice, but tomato isn't bad. Yeah, carrot juice isn't the worst thing I've ever had, but like, why can't the tomato just be more tomato? Isn't that a bit harsh? Miss Andrews, will you tell us the truth this time? There was this V8 fusion drink that, not sponsored, that was like a bunch of different juices. It was so weird. It was like, how do I say? What did he say? It was like, I don't know. It made my stomach hurt, so I had to stop drinking it because I think there was something in it that was like irritating IBS. Anyway, it's okay. You're surprised when you bought. He was looking. Wouldn't it though? Like, girl, what? So you honestly didn't think he was dead when you found him? This indicates that you stuck in the knife then. Like this, because like if you saw somebody sitting in the room and he was just slumped over, then you wouldn't assume he was dead. But if you slumped over and had a knife in his chest, you would assume he's at least injured. No, not at all. Even though this is what you saw when you discovered the body?
What is the meaning of this?
Isn't it obvious, Your Honor? There's a knife sticking straight out of Mr. Krita's chest. Anyone who saw this scene would have immediately thought that here was a dead man. Tried to do a fancy carrot juice once that had turmeric, ginger, and a bunch of other things. I didn't like it. Yeah, I used to do, before I realized I had IBS and like was doing the diet that I'm on now, I used to take shots of the like ginger turmeric thing because I would get like food from this place that was like a health food place, and then I would take you could get like a shot for like $2 or $2 or $3, and I was like, okay. Anyway, that's, well, you see, I doubt a single person in the world would mistake this for someone who fainted and then so nonchalantly go pour something to drink.
Your point is?
Ms. Andrews, your testimony just now, it was all one giant lie. And your lie has proven one thing very clearly. That you are the real killer. Well, not really. Like, that doesn't say that so much. It's more that she's the one who's stuck in she had to have been the one to stick in the knife, is what this proves, actually. No!
It looks like the defense has somehow brought the ugly truth to light. The defendant, Mr. Matt Ongard, is not guilty after all.
But that's impossible. You're wrong.
Ms. Andrews, try to have some composure.
It wasn't me. It wasn't me, I tell you. It was Matt. I swear it. He's the one who killed Juan. But you were the one who refused to testify. And your reason for not doing so was that you might end up incriminating yourself. That's because...
Ms. Andrews, I will give you one last chance. What exactly are you hiding that may incriminate you?
I refuse to testify. Girl, you can't have both. I'm sorry.
Then there's no need for this court to continue any further. Mr. Matt Ongard's innocence has been clearly demonstrated.
Is it over? Have we found the truth at last? What's wrong, Phoenix? Usually, the real killer confesses his or her guilt. Just say there. And now that I think about it, this is the first time someone hasn't.
Now then, I would like to hand down my verdict for Mr. Matt Ongard.
There it is. He was being too quiet. Your Honor, the prosecution feels that it would be premature to pass down a verdict at this time.
What?
The reason is quite simple. This witness has yet to speak the absolute, real truth. Are you calling me a liar? I ain't calling you a truther.
The absolute real truth. Oh, what are you...
Witness. Don't you understand yet?
Huh?
I don't know who planted this silly idea in your head, but as long as you protect yourself through your silence, Matt Ongard will go free, and in his place, you will become the guilty party. This is so fascinating. Okay. I know we're in, like, rising action. Give me a second. Francisca told Adrian, because Adrian's clearly hiding her, like, suicidal nature, and, like, that's what this is coming to, right? And Francisca told her, conceal, don't feel. Conceal, don't feel. And then Edgeworth is saying, your silence is going to hurt you. You need to come out with it. And it's so fascinating because I think if this had happened a year earlier, Edgeworth would have also been like, conceal, don't feel. But I think because of his own experiences, he is now very, like, against that and doesn't like to see that. Again, going back to what we talked about before, Adrian reminds Edgeworth a lot of himself, I think. They're very similar in personality. Or at least in their how their mental illness works. And I just think that's such an interesting bit. That's such an interesting little detail. Also, I don't normally give trigger warnings like in the videos anymore. I'll put them in the description. But this case does talk a lot about suicide, and Edward's about to be a little bit insensitive, so if that's something that might be potentially triggering for you, please, like, feel free to step away. I personally find it not so, as, like, who I am, like, I don't find it so triggering. I find it, like, I find it reassuring that, like, how do I say, he's still healing. Like, healing is not a linear journey, and you will be hurtful towards someone. And, like, it's interesting to think about this scene and think about Edgeworth later in the series and be like, God, look how far he's come, right? Like, in order for those later things to be so impactful, these things had to happen first, is my opinion. You're free to disagree, but be nice about it, please. Anyway. That's a lie. I don't believe you. What? I was told if I spoke, that it would all be over, and Matt would never be declared guilty. What in the world is she talking about? Has she lost it? I can't speak about it. I'm too scared. It's Franziska von Karma. Huh? Don't you remember, Phoenix? Miss Andrews lives by gripping tightly onto the words of another. Because she doesn't have the strength to believe in herself. Then, right now, Miss Andrews is... Yesterday, she was tossed a lifesaver by Miss Von Karma. Don't say a word, no matter what happens. If you do, Matt Ongard will be acquitted. Miss Andrews undyingly believes in those words right now, and is clinging onto them. Then what should we do? This is the first time I've ever come across anything like this. But Ms. Andrews has to be the killer, right? This is an ace attorney. Sometimes we meet the killer in the last part of the investigation. All we have to do now is get her not guilty. That's my only priority. It wasn't me. I'm begging you, please believe me. I didn't kill Juan. Help. Please, someone, help me.
Mr. Wright.
Yes, Your Honor.
The court can't continue on like this. Therefore, I'd like to hear what you intend to do.
What I intend to do? What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to say? Right. I suggest you think very carefully about this. Think about what this witness did, and what she did not do. And think about who is the real mastermind behind this crime. Who's the real mastermind? Isn't that obvious? There's no one else it could be except the woman crying over there. Right? Come now, what will you do? What kind of man are you, Mr. Phoenix Wright? What would I do in this situation? None of this is good. None of these are good. Cause like, okay. I fear that if I don't force her to testify, Mr. Edgeworth over here will anyway, and it will be like 50 million times more traumatic for her. So I'll do it. I'll be the bad guy. I have to win a complete acquittal today. There's no way around that. But I can't bring myself to do it like this. Not when she's making a face like that. Ms. Andrews, I would like to know what you're really hiding.
Mr. Wright, are you sure you know what you're doing?
No. Sure, Mr. Ongard would get an acquittal, but in his place you would be found guilty. Is this how you really want this trial to end? Be quiet. How dare you? You're trying to trick me.
That's enough. I commend you for trying, Mr. Edgeworth.
No.
However, it's clear that the defense's theory is the truth.
You're wrong. What a shame. I'd hoped things wouldn't come to this. However,
What is it, Mr. Edgeworth?
Ms. Andrews, since you absolutely refuse to testify, so I'm going to change my sitting position. Oh, all the nerves in my back decompressing. It falls on my shoulders to disclose this to the court. Stop.
Mr. Edgeworth.
This witness, how should I put this? She has an illness. What? And because of this illness, she has tried to commit suicide in the past. Stop! Please stop! No matter how much you want to hide it, it's no use. I have the evidence right here. That's the second part of the suicide report. The attempted suicide report. What will you do now, witness? You know what I am about to do, don't you? I will now reveal to the court the true nature of the pitiful woman known as Adrian Andrews. The secret of her dependent nature. Having other people know about it scares her more than anything else in the world. Please! Please stop! I beg you! If people find out... I'll... If you're going to say you would choose death, that is of no concern to me. Edgeworth, how can you be so cold? However, before you die, I will pull the truth from your still breathing lips, no matter what I have to do. So, will you tell the court yourself, or shall I? Either is fine with me. I'll talk, but please, help me. Another thing too about Edgeworth doing this is that, like, sometimes when you get past a hurdle in your mental health and you survive something harrowing and, like, you're trying to build up your pride and self-esteem again, you can end up being really... What's the word I'm looking for? You can be really condescending to other people. Like, yeah, I know better than you because I got through this thing. And then it happens, like, on a loop, right? Where you're, like, you build up your ego again after this, like, terrible thing happens to you, and then you fall back down. And then you have to build yourself back up again. And while you're... Any of these rounds of you building yourself up again, you have this chance of accidentally becoming more, how do I say it, like, deeply embedded in your own ego. And I'm clearly not a psychiatrist, I'm not a therapist or anything like that. These are just, like, from my experiences and the experiences of the people around me who have shared them with me. Like, it's because it comes, I feel that it connects to the idea of, like, pulling yourself up by your own bootstraps, which is a bit of a toxic mindset, but it does become, like, when you survive a suicide attempt and then you're like, well, I did it, why can't you? And, like, you do have moments of thinking that, and that's something that, like, you have to actively work against in your own ego of not ripping down other people just because they're going through something and not handling it the way that you did, right? And then, it works other ways too. Not from Adrian's point of view, she shouldn't be idolizing someone like Edgeworth or Francisca for going through what they're going through in a different way, and it, like, looks better, like, but it's not. I don't know. I just don't think that we should be comparing our mental health to each other in a way that's, like, so competitive, Anyway. Nothing matters anymore. When I first saw him, I really thought he had fainted. Honest. When I realized he was dead, that was when I formulated my plan. Once I made sure there was no one in the hallway, I made a dash back to Matt's room. And then, I stabbed Juan's dead body with the knife and ripped off the button. Just when I finished and was returning to Matt's room, I had a bit of an inconvenience. And that's why. That's why I ended up using the nickel samurai costume.
Stab the body with a knife, but why would you do that?
Isn't it obvious? To pin the blame on a certain person. A certain cowardly man.
What do you mean by all of this?
It might take this court a little while to understand, but that is the truth. The real killer is Matt. That scumbag of a man. I'll never forgive him. He's trying to escape his guilt again, just like last time. Last time? So, Miss Andrews stabbed the victim, Juan Corrida, in the chest with a knife. However, she didn't do it with murder in mind. She did it with the intent of framing Matt Ongard for the murder. And this is her crime. What? How is this possible? I mean, wasn't Miss Andrews supposed to be the real murderer?
Mr. Wright, please get over your shock and commence the cross-examination. Get the fuck over it.
But you could tell from the state of the room was in that there must have been a fight. Are you telling the truth when you say that you did not know he was dead? He had a scarf tied around his neck, but that scarf is part of the Gem and Ninja's costume, so I didn't think anything about it was strange. His head was also tilted down a bit, so I couldn't see his face that well. That's why I thought I'd wake him up and went to pour the juice. What is this plan you had? I knew right away the murderer was Matt. I knew because Juan, he was going to expose Matt's weakest weak point to the world. So Matt did this to stop Juan and silence him for good. That's when I thought, I should forge some evidence and pin this crime on Matt. So the forged pieces of evidence were the knife and the button. The first thing that came to mind was to plant the knife. That was so you could get the knife, correct? The knife Matt used at dinner had his fingerprints all over it. I thought that if I used that, then the police would certainly turn their eyes toward him. Matt was napping with his costume on at the time. I slipped in, took the knife, and returned to the scene of the crime. So you were the one to stab the victim with that knife. It gives me goosebumps to think about it now. What a horrible thing I did. But at the time, I couldn't control my own body. It moved on its own. Then, when I stabbed Juan's dead body, I suddenly realized something. If I used the button somehow, I could make Matt look even more suspect. So you thought to rip off one of the buttons, and then plant it in Mr. Ongard's hakama. Yes, that is what I had planned to do. But things never go that smoothly, do they? An inconvenience. There was a woman with a camera at the ready, loitering in the hallway. I'm willing to bet my spikes it was Lotta. There was also a woman with a ray gun at the ready, pacing back and forth. That's Ms. Oldbag for you. I had already been caught and made into a big scoop for a certain weekly tabloid once, so I couldn't very well go out looking like myself and get caught again. You were the one who prepared that costume, weren't you? Yes, I took it from Global Studios. I also put it into Juan's guitar case the day before the award ceremony. You did this in preparation for the press conference, correct? Yes. Juan wanted to wear that costume and hold a press conference in it. He was going to disclose Matt's big secret there.
And what is this secret?
That, I don't know. Anyway, I thought that if I were to leave Juan's room in the nickel samurai costume, then people would think that Matt was the real murderer. I was very careful not to leave any fingerprints when I opened the guitar case. I absolutely did not want anyone to know about the costume.
I think we've heard enough. So, after that, you went back to Mr. Onguard's room and planted the button.
Into Matt's hakama, yes. After that, I folded up the costume I was wearing and put it into a bag. Then I snuck it out of the hotel and got rid of it.
My word! What does all this mean?
Mr. Edgeworth, is it? The real criminal is Matt Ongard. Yesterday, that woman prosecutor sat me down for a talk. Francisca, huh? She said that I should, under no circumstances, confess to what I had done. That if I just kept quiet, then Matt would be found guilty for sure. I had no choice but to believe in her words.
What this witness has done is clearly unlawful. However, as long as her testimony stands, we can be certain she is not the real killer.
Wait, Your Honor. The defense still... Right. It's pointless. At this point in time, it is not possible to indict Ms. Andrews on anything.
Yes, exactly. There isn't a single piece of evidence that points to her as the murderer. The cross-examination of this witness is over, and so is today's trial. You can establish that the witness was the culprit. Please let it go, Mr. Wright.
But...
Mr. Edgeworth, please place Ms. Andrews under arrest for further questioning.
Understood, Your Honor. The prosecution will arrange for her detention immediately.
That is all. Court is adjourned for today.
Today's trial. It's over. And I didn't win an acquittal. Witness, would you mind if I asked you something? Edgeworth? What is it? Before you leave court today, I wondered if I might look at one thing. The card in your hand. It's had my interest for quite some time now. What exactly is it? Oh, this? Mr. Wright also asked about this. Although I didn't remember it at the time that you asked me about it, Mr. Wright. I remember just now. I found this in the room on that day. The room? That day? Yes. I found this card when I discovered Juan's body. It was lying there right next to him. You found that card? Next to the victim's body? Why'd you take it? I suppose I must have unconsciously slipped it into my pocket. But it's not as if this card has any relevance to Juan's murder, right? Yeah, I guess not. But it's still a strange card, if you ask me. But as far as a clue to this case, I don't see why... Hold it! Witness! That card! Give it to me! Hurry! Edgeworth? Do you have any idea what you have stupidly yet inadvertently done? This... I can't believe you hid this from me all this time! I didn't mean to. What is this all about? I've never seen Edgeworth so emotional before. That card. What in the world is it? And what does it mean? Of course they're not going to tell us now, but we know. We know. If you remember. If you don't remember, I won't give it away for you. Huh, Mamma Mia. More like Mommy Mia. Okay. Ugh. That's it. That's all I got. I don't know if you could hear the rasp in my voice, but truly doing the judge's voice, switching between Adrian and the judge's voice was a lot. So that's enough. But thanks for hanging out with me. It wasn't a super exciting stream. Nothing too silly or funny, I guess, happened. That is to be expected, I guess, from this case. Also, like I said, my vibes are not the best today. I'm glad I streamed. It did help my mood a little bit. But I'm not gonna lie. The world out there kind of sucks. And it's getting to me. So I'm glad that this is something that I can do. It's something to look forward to. Yeah. So Thursday, we'll do more of this. There shouldn't be any issues with temperature or anything like that. Knock on wood, nothing else happens that would make this annoying. And then, curse the MT. Maddie, I do not miss that transit. I do not miss the MTA. I used to take the 7 and the L all the time. I would either take the L and like the L and the fucking the F or whatever, and then the G to the 7. Dude, I don't miss that. That was sick. There's not as many trains here, but the buses run well. So I take it. It's so much better. So much cleaner, too. Yo, the 7... I'm so sorry, dude. The 7 sucks. It shouldn't. It really shouldn't suck. The E... yeah, the E always, like... I'll be like, the E, you're always there for me. Bitch is always there for me. And then it won't be. NYC wished it could, dude. Like, it's crazy. Yeah. There was a time when I was doing the connection to, I think at Court Square is the name of that station, and the escalators were out for like, I don't know, a year. And I was like, I have to use the fucking elevator because I just had surgery. And they're like, don't overexert yourself. But work wanted me to come in for something. And so I was like, fuck it. So I took an Uber to work. A fancy ass Uber in morning rush hour traffic. And I was like, I so mad. So mad that I had to do that. Because the elevator was so crowded. And like, yeah, yeah, dude. The long stairs. I remember going down those stairs at the end of the day, and that would be like launching myself into the G to go home. Anyway, I don't live there anymore. Thank God I don't. But yeah, like I said, the world's been kind of shit lately, and I got the summer blues. Like, I never do well during summer. And even though it's less hot here, it's still just, like, the vibe of it is just, it doesn't. One day you'll move. I hope that you can. What I really want is for New York to improve it, but, you know. Anyway, so thanks for letting me be silly on here for a little bit. And Thursday, there will be more of the silly. But you may have noticed, there's an event for Saturday night. We finished Ham Hams Unite. Although I may pick it up for a third stream someday just to fuck around. And you may have noticed that I put an event up for Saturday night. We're playing Okami. I'm so excited. I can't wait. I feel like playing that game will be so healing. I feel like it's just what I need. So I really hope that y'all are able to make those streams or at least watch the VODs or whatever, because it is so such a nice game, such a healing game. It gives me faith in humanity. Okami, yeah. So that'll be late for the East Coast people. I'm sorry, but it's just what works with my schedule right now. Yeah, it may change if I get a part-time job. It may change to a Sunday night or something, or back to Sunday afternoons, but I'll figure it out. For now, this is what it is. So anyway, yeah, best doggo, for real. Best Capcom doggo. Sorry, Missile. You can't make the sun shine. You can't make flowers bloom. I'm so sorry. It's not your fault. Anyway, yeah, so you know the drill. Take care of yourself. Take care of others. Be good to yourself. Be kind. Stay safe. Stay hydrated. Thanks for hanging out. Truly. Thank you. And I will see you when I see you. Yeah.